What's going on, everyone? Nick Filato with Big Blue View here to break down some of Brian Daboll's RPOs and why it's going to be important in this year's offense. Let's get to it. RPOs have proliferated around college football and the NFL over the last several years. RPO stands for Run Pass Option. The goal is to build multiple options into one play, show the same look to a defense, yet attack in a different manner. It's a way to exploit what the defense is giving you, take advantage of defensive actions, and put them in a lose-lose situation based on your quarterback reading a defender. A well-executed RPO, in theory, means the defense can't be right. Here's a look at the quarterbacks who ran the most RPOs last season according to Pro Football Reference. The number 2 quarterback behind Jalen Hurts is Josh Allen, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. His play caller was Brian Daboll, now the head coach of the New York Giants. They ran the RPO 124 times by Pro Football Reference's account. You can see Daniel Jones at 14, tied with Jimmy Garoppolo at 38. That is a substantial difference. And this could work to the advantage of Daniel Jones because the RPO is something he ran quite often in David Cutcliffe's offense at Duke. One of the biggest questions surrounding the RPO is telling the difference between a play-action pass and a run-pass option. And there are 2 ways that you can do that. One is just watching the wide receivers and seeing if they're running deliberate routes, meaningful routes. They're not just kind of dogging it out there. If they're running meaningful routes, could be an RPO. But the primary way to tell is just watch the offensive line. See how they're blocking. If they're run blocking, it's probably not a designed pass play. Here's preseason week 1 against the New England Patriots. The Giants aligned to the open side of the formation with a reduced stack just inside the numbers, and it's not too reduced. And then you have Colin Johnson, hope he gets healthy really soon. I know that Achilles tear, it's terrible to hear. He's plus splits outside the numbers by about 4 yards with Daniel Bellinger to that boundary side. Daniel Jones is on this hash right here with the running back on that close side of the formation. And what you're going to get is an RPO where Daniel Jones is reading this defender right here. And you're going to have a flat and a slant. And we'll go through all this, but I want you all to pay attention to the run blocking just to see how it's going to be different from a typical pass blocking type of play. Let's watch. So this is what we refer to as the mesh point right here. Daniel Jones is going into the mesh point and he's reading this defender. We'll see it better on the end zone angle, but look how you see these offensive linemen are going forward. They're not running backward. Look, Shane Lemieux is climbing, and you know what? That's one good way to get a penalty. If he does throw the football, you can get, ineligible man downfield. That's something that you see pretty often because of these RPOs. But watch how they're all churning their feet and they're moving forward. They're not dropping back. And that's a very important way to determine if it's an RPO or just a typical play action pass. And obviously the other way is you have the flat, you have the slant, very common in the NFL, and then you have just a little bubble here. But Jones isn't going to throw the football here. There's no numbers advantage, and football's all about space. It's all about numbers. You have 1 blocker and then 2 defenders, so it doesn't make sense to throw the football in that situation. So Daniel Jones is reading homeboy right here because you have 5 blockers, you have 4 down linemen, and then the 5th player is a linebacker. So Daniel Jones is reading to see what this backer is doing, because if this backer were to shade towards the RPO side, towards the passing side, he's going to hand the football off all day to Saquon Barkley because you have a hat on hat, and you're going to take that advantage because it's a numbers game. But this linebacker shades in this direction just enough to provide Daniel Jones the confidence to throw the football into a tight window to Colin Johnson, because this player is playing the run, and you don't want to basically give the football off when the defense has a +1 advantage. So you can see, tucks the ball and he throws to tight window. This is good velocity right here on the football from Daniel Jones. He has to do a lot to get his hips, feet, and shoulders squared to Colin Johnson here. You can see how that linebacker goes inside the hash. That could be the coaching point to get Daniel Jones to throw the football here. So let's watch as he goes into the mesh point. Eyes flashes right on number 30. You have a safety who's slightly rotating this way. The safety right here dropped down to man cover on Daniel Bellinger. So Daniel Jones is reading. Watch how he just goes into his mesh point. He's holding on to the football. He's still reading 30, and 30 is just shading. He's shading ever so slightly inside of this hash, and that's enough to tell Daniel Jones, I'm going to throw the football in this situation because this is a pretty damn wide throwing window right here. So Jones takes advantage, snaps his shoulders, snaps his feet, snaps his hips, gets everything aligned, and then fires the football. And look how tight that is. 30, who is inside the hash, he almost gets to that ball. But Jones puts a good ball out there, hits Colin Johnson in stride, and it's a first down. But if this linebacker right here stayed outside this hash, noticed what was going on over here, or maybe the linebacker was getting burnt by the RPO throughout the game, Daniel Jones every day of the week is giving the football to Saquon Barkley, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers against 4, and Saquon Barkley against his alley defender, and the Giants would take that any day of the week. And I just wanted to include this play because this is an obvious pass blocking situation. Now, Daniel Jones doesn't even go into the mesh point or anything, but look at the difference between the pass blocking here, and there are different pass sets. There are vertical sets, there are 45, there's jump sets. Jump sets are a little bit more like run blocking sets, but you can just tell the difference between the RPO blocks that you saw before and then the pass blocks here. So it's just something to keep in mind. I wanted to kind of put this play in here just for that perspective. And also, even though I did an Evan Neal breakdown on the Big Blue View YouTube channel, if you guys want to check that out, please do. It's on this feed. Look at Evan Neal over here, just handling 96 with that forklift technique, finishing him off strong. Just a little acknowledgement right there. And now here, we're going to see a run play that is not an RPO, okay? This is a little bit later in the game with Davis Webb, but you can tell this is not an RPO because watch Davis Webb. The snap is low because it's Will Holden, who has never played center, snapping the football here. There's no reading of any defender, right? Davis Webb is going right into the mesh point and giving the ball 225 right here. Keelan Dawson is not running any kind of route, seems to be confused on who he's going to block. And then you have the obvious run blocking here. You pull this backside guard, and then you have everybody else kind of just block down a little bit, right? You can see Austin Allen really does a good job against this edge. You pull the backside guard to go and locate the most dangerous man. This linebacker does a good job scraping over the top and filling off the ass cheek of 46. Nobody blocks right here, and the play is kind of blown up right there, but you can see this is obvious run blocking, right? This is a run play. And I wanted to put this in here, just like I put in the pass blocking play, just to show you the difference. And you're going to see how some RPOs have the same type of element built into it, yet the quarterback will still pass the football. The Giants' first 2 drives ended with a turnover on downs and an interception that bounced off of Daniel Bellinger's hand. But the third drive was an 11-play, 84-yard drive that was mostly facilitated by the RPO game. 3 connections from Daniel Jones to David Sills. Let's go over those 3 plays. Here's a 2nd and 10 after the David Sills incomplete pass up the right sideline to start the Giants' touchdown drive. The third drive, the final drive for Daniel Jones, and it's important to look at the pre-snap alignment of the Cincinnati Bengals defense. We have a 4-3 front with a single high middle of the field closed safety up on the line of scrimmage right here, a little bit of distance right here. Wan'Dale Robinson's going to run a little bubble off the RPO action. And then you had David Sills over here, and his covering defender, 42, is outside and in off coverage, basically inviting him to win inside on a slant, which he does on this play. You can see that the guard right here is already pulling. Remember on the last play we went over, the guard pulled. It's a good way to kind of sell the run, which is exactly what happens on this play. We'll watch how this defender reacts. Let's roll it and break it down. Nice easy completion to David Sills, and we'll see on the end zone angle too. You see how they're run blocking, they're vertically displacing, they're trying to impose their power onto the defense. Up top you have a little bubble screen. Again, you don't really have a numbers advantage over here, but Daniel Jones is reading and gets alerted by 41, who aggressively comes to attack the backside guard pulling because 41 thinks this is a run play. And we'll see this a little bit better on the end zone angle. Let's watch that. Daniel Jones catches and he flashes his eyes right in this direction at 41. He sees 41 come down, and this, I don't think this was a design blitz, just by the way 41 reacts initially, takes a couple steps inside, and then he flashes his eyes inside, and he sees a guard pulling, he sees Antonio Williams going into the mesh point, he thinks this is going to be a run, and he's going to stop it, but Daniel Jones sees 41 come downhill like that, 44 kind of scrapes over top. Daniel Jones knows at this point he has the throwing window right here, so he already makes his decision. wasn't difficult like we saw with the Patriots clip. This is an easy decision for him to deliver the football. And that's a nice tight pass right there. Even though these Bengals reacted aggressively to the run because of the run blocking, they read their run keys and they thought it was going to be a run. Daniel Jones, still, man, look how tight that was. 96, Cam Sample almost knocks this ball down. 44 is in a position to make a play on this ball if he reacted a little quicker, but he hits David Sills in stride, and it's a nice pickup right there for a first down on a 2nd and 10 play. Let's see it one more time. Backside guard pulls. 41 takes a couple key steps, sees the puller, comes downhill. Daniel Jones, right as that happens, you can see how quickly you have to process as a quarterback. You have to process this so damn quickly. And Brian Daboll talked about that in his press conference on Wednesday. And it's so damn true. And look how Daniel Jones realizes what's going on. He knows David Sills. He has a rapport with David Sills. He knows he's going to be open once he plants that outside foot. And because of the pre-snap leverage of the cornerback that we went over, and you can see right there, he's open, delivers a good football, nice catch, pick up the first down. On the very next play, Daniel Jones finds David Sills for a 20-yard gain. Let's look at this defense pre-snap. We have the 4-3 like we saw before. You have David Sills with a press-aligned defender, middle of the field, close safety. So likely no safety help if David Sills fades out and angles towards the sideline, which we get. And then on this side of the field, you're just going to have stalk block here and then a bubble screen. And then you also have the run part of the RPO where you could hand the football off. I think Daniel Jones knew where he was going with this football based on this pre-snap alignment. Basically had an alert call. He had a one-on-one matchup. He gave David Sills a hand signal that might have said, hey, I'm going to trust you to go up, climb this ladder, and make this catch. You'll see what I'm talking about here. I don't know what this means. I'm not in the Giants room, but he's giving some sort of hand signal here, right? You can see that. David Sills has his eyes over here. This could be some type of free access type of play where he's waiting on a hand signal from Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones reads the defense, sees the cornerback's leverage, and says run an outside angled fade route. That could be what this is, but I'm not 100% certain. But Daniel Jones basically reads the defense and then makes his decision pre-snap because he's not even really reading too much here. You can see him flash his eyes up a little bit, but he doesn't really even go into the mesh point. He knows he's going to have that one-on-one situation, and this is a 1st and 10 play. He's just going to throw this football. Again, look at the run blocking. It's not pass blocking, as we went over before. Great pickup by Devery Hamilton to pick up the blitzing 47 right here, or the filling 47. Actually, that's a blitz, I think. He's coming really, really quick here. And then Daniel Jones takes the one-on-one. That's a really well-placed ball, high and outside against a defender who, as you could see here, is playing inside and over the top a little bit. So that's the only place Daniel Jones could put this football, where David Sills is the only player who can make a play on the ball. So it's a very nice throw from Daniel Jones. Great body adjustment from David Sills. And look at all the options you have built into this play. We went over it. You have this fade, and that's going to work against this coverage. But you have the run, you have the Wan'Dale Robinson bubble. And we didn't see Wan'Dale Robinson get a lot of love in the RPO game, but it's just because that's not what the defense was showing the Giants. The Giants were taking advantage of what the defense was showing, and that's the point of running these RPOs. You can see here, Daniel Jones already made that decision. Great ball right there to Sills. Here, Daniel Jones makes a really quick split decision with pressure in his face, as you can see. Bengals blitz, and he fires this slant right here. The read defender ends up blitzing, gets the football high to David Sills, who makes a good high point catch right there, kind of bobbles the ball a little bit, but still very nice to help move the chains here for the New York Giants. You can watch it from the end zone angle, get a good view. You can see the run blocking like we went over a little bit before at the top of the screen. You have the bubble, kind of. It's more of a, it's not as much of a bubble as it is kind of just flat down the line of scrimmage from Richie James with the stalk blocker. But you can see the blitz. And the blitz, that's an automatic alert, throw the damn football. The defender that you were going to read pre-snap right here comes. You can see Daniel Jones flash his eyes, sees the pressure coming. He's not going to hand the football off, but he knows there's a vacated area right now, even though 44 is shading in this direction a little bit. So you just got to snap everything and throw the football. And you can see as he does this, man, he has a guy right in his face jumping. Helmet-to-helmet contact right there. Nice catch by David Sills. But again, it goes to that quick decision making. And I have criticized and chastised Daniel Jones for his overall decision making in terms of going through progressions and making the right read. But in terms of the RPO, he does a pretty solid job. It's something he did well dating back to his days at Duke. Again, you can see everyone's run blocking. Blitzer comes in, fire the football. Do not hand the football off because that play is going to get blown up. Now here is a play I kind of wanted to just throw in here because this is the run portion of the RPO. And you're going to see right here, Daniel Jones is reading this defender right here. And we're going to have this nickelback come on the blitz. But Daniel Jones, I don't even believe is aware of that because you're going to have double slants right here, which is the pass portion of this RPO. Daniel Jones just hands the football off to Jashawn Corbin because this linebacker does not flow in the direction with the blockers like we saw earlier, which means you have 6 blockers against 6 defenders. Hand the football off. Let's watch. See how he just stays put right there, leaning on that outside foot. If you really look closely, you can see he's leaning in this direction, almost baiting Daniel Jones to throw in this direction to Wan'Dale Robinson so he can undercut it, especially with the Bengals bringing this blitzer right here. Kind of like a bait, like a trap type of coverage right there. But Daniel Jones just hands the football off, gets a solid gain right there behind the blockers. Better vantage point right here from the end zone angle. He is reading Akeem Davis-Gaither, Daniel Jones is. And you also have an extra blocker over here. They're running towards the closed side, the strong side, not the weak side. So you have an advantage there against this 4-2-5 type of front. And the Giants also pull their front side guard and their center. This is a G-lead type of play, double puller, if you want to call it that. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to have Evan Neal block down on the 3 technique. Bellinger's going to let 96 through for the play side guard. You're going to have Bellinger pick up 44, that Sam linebacker, as you do. So you kick out 96, and then you have the center lead block for Corbin. But in terms of the RPO portion, let's look at Daniel Jones' eyes. Flashes his eyes up at 59. What's 59 doing? 59 has a lot of weight right here. He's not moving in this direction, even though there's 2 pullers. So what does that tell Daniel Jones? They're going to have a numbers advantage to the run side, to the strong side of the formation. Again, like I said earlier, when you have a numbers advantage, you hand the football off every day of the freaking week. You don't risk it. You hand the football off, and you get a good gain like this. So credit to Daniel Jones right here for the quick processing. Nicely designed RPO play that ended up being a run for Brian Daboll's offense. And those are some RPOs that we've seen early on just through 2 preseason games from Brian Daboll. And those are pretty simple RPOs. You can get very complex and very creative with the RPO game. And I expect Brian Daboll to do that. I think it's going to be a huge part of what the New York Giants do on offense with Daniel Jones as their quarterback. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this. Please head on over to bigblueview.com and check out all of our written content. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and then head on over wherever you get podcasts and look up Big Blue View Radio. That would be excellent and much appreciated. Nick Filato signing off for Big Blue View. Take care of each other and have a lovely day.